Hello everyone, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Jai Mata Di. Welcome back to our Merch and ETO Jobs channel. And today's date is 5th March 2025. So without wasting time, आज के क्या latest job dates हैं? Let's see here. So watch this video. Let's start without wasting time. So there is an opening in Merck Shipping. They required Boston, Feeder, OS, AB, and Viper. For ordinary seaman, there is an opening for you over here. They required for their container vessel minimum 12 months of rank experience they required with Indian COP, and they required the experience on reefer containers. So if you have and want to switch your company, so world's second largest shipping company Merck is available for you over here. So share your CV via email. Then Anglo-Eastern Ship Management required able seamen, oiler, feeder. They required for the bulk carrier, LPG carrier, chemical tanker, oil tanker, and they required for their CDVT vessel. But they required over here some experience on this type of vessel. So if you have, so share your CV today only, and please let them know you got to know from Merchant Navy Decoded Jobs. Ocean One Ship Management required able seamen, AV for their LNG ships. They required LNG and LPG experience over here, and joining will be immediately. So urgent opening over here for you. So these are the job openings. Okay, no more openings over here. Williamson Ship Management required AB and feeder for their unloaded vessel. Self-unloaded vessel must have US-1 visa. If you have US-1 visa, so there is an opening for you, AB and feeders. Nimbus Marine Group required able seaman and chief cook for their crew boat for their offshore vessel. Then Burkhan Shipping required feeder for their oil and chemical tanker. 12 month of rank experience they required on the similar type of vessel. Salary they will provide $1,968 per month. Bernard Sulte Ship Management required ratings. They required all ranks, OS, AB, everyone they required for their PCTC fleet. So share your CV today itself. For sharing your CV, join our WhatsApp channel for daily updates, Merchant Navy job dates, and please let them know you got to know from Merchant Navy Decoded Jobs. So let's move to the next job opening, that is for ETO. For ETOs, there is an opening in Columbia Ore Ship Management. Columbia Ore Ship Management required ETO for their bulk carrier. They required COC with experience. Then Merck Shipping required ETO or electrician for their container vessel, minimum 12 month of rank experience with COC and at least handling 250 reefers. So if you have, so share your CV here. There is an opening for you. Then Columbia Ore Ship Management required ETO for their DP2 vessel. Indian COC required over here. Contract duration will be 3 months. Joining will be mid-March. Sea Scout Global Private Limited, they required ETO for their bulk carrier ship, for their LPG carrier ships. Rank experience on similar type of vessel is required over here. Joining will be very urgent. Surin Ship Management required experienced ETO for their oil and chemical tanker and for oil and chemical tanker and for their bitumen tanker. Synergy Maritime required ETO for their gear bulk carrier, required in gear bulk carrier vessels. So if you have sailed on gear bulk carrier vessel and want to switch your company, so there is an opening for you. And joining date they have mentioned, one is 15th March, another is 20th, and the end of March. So lots of opening here for ETO. Share your CV today itself, and please let them know you got to know from Merchant Navy Decoded Jobs and grab this opportunity over here. Columbia Ore Ship Management required ETO for their DP2 vessels, COC required here, and diploma degree in. Okay, so if you have done diploma in electronic engineering, so there is an opening for you. But before that, you have to complete your ETO PDC trainings. Then VR Maritime required ETO for their LPG carrier. Joining will be very soon, immediately. Nimbus Marine Group required ETO for their bitumen tanker. Location will be from Singapore. Then Ocean One Sea Management required ETO for their oil tanker ships. Oil tanker expense required over here. Nimbus Marine Group required electrician for their OSV offshore vessel. Blue Fortune Sea Management required ETO for their oil tanker vessel. Naz Maritime required ETO for their oil and chemical tanker and Handymax bulk carrier vessel. V Ships required ETO for their ASTS PSV crew boat utility vessel. These are the lots of opening for ETO today. So share your CV, and what are you waiting for? Please join our WhatsApp channel. For joining this, you need to go through your WhatsApp, go through find channel section, just search there Merchant Navy job updates, and on the first tab itself our channel will come. Just follow us by today, and on everyday basis as per your rank you'll get the job openings over here, SC free, fraud free, and SN free. Let's with our next job opening, that is for Masters job opening. For Masters, there is an opening in BSM, Bernard Sulte Ship Management. They required for their PCTC carrier, and experience is also required on the similar type of vessel. Then OSM Thome required master for their gear bulk carrier. Joining date will be mid of March. They required relevant rank experience with USC1 visa is mandatory over here for sharing your CV. Ocean One Ship Management required master for their oil tanker ship. Joining will be immediately. Requirements they have mentioned, tanker experience they required. Synergy Maritime required master for their LNG carrier ships. Minimum 12 month of rank experience with LNG experience required over here. Nationality they have asked Indian. Then V Ships required master for their HTS PSV HSC crew boat. So lots of opening over here for in VH. There is lots of opening for master in V-ships for their offshore vessel, and they required offshore experience. Then Williamson Ship Management required master for their self-unloader vessel. Columbia Ore Ship Management required master for their DP vessel, DP2 vessel. So share your CV today itself. Lots of opening in main fleet as well as in offshore fleet. So if you have experience, so it will be bonus for you, and please comment it below what all the things we are missing over here. So just share your feedback, we'll work upon it. And if you have not subscribed to our channel, subscribe us by today only for the latest job updates. Let's move on to the next job opening for chief officers. For chief officer, there is an opening in Columbia Order Ship Management. They required for their container vessel expenses required over here. Then Columbia Order Ship Management required chief officer for their bulk carrier ships, crane expenses required over here. Bernard Schulte Ship Management required chief officer for their PCTC fleet. They required experience on the similar type of vessel. V ships required chief officer. They required master. They required chief officer also for their offshore vessels. So share your CV if you have offshore experience and want to switch your company. CV Scout Global Private Limited coming here with the position. They require chief officer for their LPG carriers. Rank experience on similar type of vessel is required over here. Joining will be urgent. NAS Maritime required chief officer for their Handymax bulk carrier. Minimum 9 to 12 months of rank experience is required over here. Whitelisted COC only they are accepting, means Indian or UK COC. Then Synergy Maritime required chief officer for their LNG carrier. Minimum 12 months of rank experience is required on LNG type ships. Then V ships required chief officer for their ASTS PSB. So there is lots of opening in V ships for their offshore vessel. ABB Ship Management required chief officer for their NCV vessel. Columbia Order Ship Management required for their DP2 vessel. Then OSM Thom required chief officer for their gear bulk carrier vessel. OSM Thom required chief officer for their Williamson Ship Management required chief officer for their VLGC gas carrier vessel. Minimum 7 months of rank experience required as a chief officer. Columbia Order Ship Management required for their DP2 vessel. Arunima Marine Service required chief officer for their oil and chemical tanker vessel. Salary they will provide $4,000 per month. Then Blue Fortune Ship Management required chief officer for their oil tanker vessel. So joining will be soon. Then V ships leisures. So there is an opening in offshore as well as there is an opening in their cruise ships. They required chief officer for their cruise vessel. They required at least some experience as a chief officer on cruise vessels. So these are the job openings today for chief officer. Let's move on next job opening, that is for second officers. For second officer, there is an opening in BSM, Bernard Schulte Ship Management. They required for their PCTC fleet experience also they have mentioned. Sea Scout Global Private Limited, they required second officer for their bulk carrier vessel. Rank experience on the similar type of vessel is required over here. Kineva Shipping Private Limited required second officer for their FG tanker vessel. They accepting Indian COC. Then Sea Scout Global Private Limited required second officer for their LPG carrier vessel. Rank experience on similar type of vessel is required over here. Columbia Order Ship Management required second officer for their DP2 vessel. Columbia Order Ship Management required second officer for their DP2 vessel. Nimbus Marine Group required second officer for their bitumen tanker. Columbia Order Ship Management required for their DP2 vessel. V ships required second officer for their lots of offshore vessel, ASTS, PSV, SSRV, HSC or crew boat. So lots of opening today for second officer too. Also, let's move on next rank, that is for third officers. That is for third officers. Third officer, there is an opening in Williamson Ship Management. They require third officer for their capsize bulk carrier. Full contract experience as a third officer on bulk carrier required over here. Joining date will be 12th of March or 1st of April. So there's two openings over here. So for urgent requirements, share your CV here. There is an opening for you. Then Columbia Order Ship Management required for their bulk carrier vessel. Rank experience with US 70 visa is mandatory over here for sharing your CV. Bernard Schulte Ship Management required third officer for their PCTC fleet. Then Sea Scout Global Private Limited, they required third officer for their bulk carrier, gear bulk carrier. They required rank experience on similar type of vessel. Then Sea Scout Global Private Limited required third officer for their LPG carrier ships. VR Maritime required third officer for their LPG carrier ships. NAS Maritime required third officer for their oil and chemical tanker ship. US C1D visa is mandatory with white COC listed over here. Synergy Maritime required third officer for their tanker ships. Must have US C1D visa. Anglo-Eastern Ship Management required third officer for their bulk carrier, oil tanker or VLCC carrier. So there's lots of opening for third officers today, but everybody is asking some experience, relevant experience. So if you have, so share your CV by today itself and please let them know you got to know from Merge and AV Decoded Jobs. Let's move on next job opening for chief engineer. Let's come engine side. So Columbia Order Ship Management required chief engineer for their container vessel. RT-Flex engine experience is required over here. NAS Maritime required chief engineer for their Handymax bulk carrier. Minimum 9 to 12 months of rank experience is required here. Synergy Maritime required chief engineer for their high TEU container. So there is lots of opening, means high TEU container. Synergy Maritime required chief engineer for their container ships required. So if you have sailed on container ships on lots of if you have sailed on container vessels, so share your CV over here. Joining date will be 10th March or 17th March. Synergy Maritime required chief engineer for their oil and chemical tanker. 24 plus month of rank experience on similar type of vessel is required over here. Joining date will be next month, April 2025. Then Bernard Schulte Ship Management required for their PCTC carrier vessel. The experience also mentioned over here. Williamson Ship Management required chief engineer for their self-unloaded vessel. If you have US C1D visa, so share your CV here. V ships required chief engineer for their offshore fleet. Offshore experience in similar type of vessel is required over here. Then Williamson Ship Management required chief engineer for their PCTC capsize vessel. Then Synergy Maritime required for NCV chief engineer, they required for their coastal vessel. Then Columbia Oris Ship Management required chief engineer for their DP2 vessel. Burkhan Shipping required for their Astro Offshore Adani Group, they required for their towing tug vessels. So there's lots of opening for chief engineer in main fleet as well as in offshore side. Let's move to the next job opening for second engineers. For second engineers, there is an opening in Columbia Oris Ship Management. They required for their container vessel and they asking RT Flex engine required, experience required over here. Merck Shipping required second engineer for their container vessel, minimum 12 month of rank expenses mandatory over here. Blue Fortune Ship Management required second engineer for their oil tanker ships, engine type EM engine. They required experience, relevant experience on similar type of vessel. Bernard Sulte Ship Management required for their PCTC fleet. Columbia Oris Ship Management required second engineer for DP2 vessel. Only FGCOC is acceptable over here. Then Sea Scott Global Private Limited, they required second engineer for their bulk carrier vessel, LPG carrier or bunker tanker vessel. Rank experience on similar type of vessel is required over here. Synergy Maritime required second engineer for their oil and chemical tanker vessel. 24 plus month of rank experience is required here. Synergy Maritime required second engineer for their bulk carrier or dredger vessel also. Then Williamson Ship Management required second engineer for their PCTC capsize vessel. Then Columbia Oris Ship Management required for their ASTS non-DP2 vessel. Columbia Oris Ship Management required for their DP2 vessel. Then Nimbus Marine Group required for their AST OSV non-DP vessel. Naz Maritime required second engineer for their Handymax bulk carrier. Andromeda Ownership Company, they required second engineer for their bitumen tanker, and they have mentioned they will provide, they have mentioned salary will be discussed during the technical interview. So lots of opening for second engineer today. There will be some more openings, and V-Ships required second engineer for their ASTS, PSB, crew boat or utility vessel. So if you have 24 months of rank experience, so share your CV today itself and please let them know you got to know from much and coded jobs. Let's move on next job opening for fourth engineers and let's see there is an opening for fresher or not. So BSM required fourth engineer with experience, they required for their PCTC fleet. Merck's required fourth engineer with experience, 6 months of rank experience on container vessel. So if you have, so share your CV over here. Sea Scott Global Private Limited required fourth engineer with rank experience on similar type of vessel and vessel type is LPG carrier. Joining will be urgent. Andromeda Ownership Company required fourth engineer for their bitumen tanker, minimum 6 months of rank experience as a fourth engineer, not as a junior officer, junior engineer. They required as a fourth engineer over here. OSM Home required fourth engineer for their car carrier vessel. Joining date will be April. Relevant rank experience and USC1D visa is mandatory over here for sharing your CV. Let's move on to the next job opening for third engineers today. For third engineer, there is an opening in Merck Shipping. They required for their container vessel, they required minimum 6 months of rank experience on similar type of vessel. Then Columbia Oris Ship Management required third engineer for their container vessel, bulk carrier vessel. Sea Scott Global Private Limited required third engineer for their LPG carrier vessel. Rank experience on similar type of vessel is required here. Synergy Maritime required third engineer for their container vessel. Required in if you have sailed on container vessels, so there is an opening for you. Surin Ship Management required third engineer for their oil and chemical tanker ships. Indian COC is acceptable over here. BSM required third engineer for their PCTC fleet. Experience also required. OSM Thum India Private Limited required third engineer for their gear bulk carrier. Nimbus Marine Group required third engineer for their ASTS OSV non-DP vessels. So lots of opening, more than hundreds of opening over here for. There is lots of ranks. So share your CV by today itself. इसके link कहाँ पे हैं? तो description में है. Just go through that. Follow us on WhatsApp. Click on this link. Apply by every day and please wait for the response. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Jai Mata Di. We'll meet you in the next video with next such updates. Till that, do not pay any money to anyone for getting job. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Jai Mata.